Hello everybody. So tonight we're going to be going over how to set up an enclosure for Scolopendra alternans. Now the variant we're working with today is going to be a peedling, one of the keys alternans. Now these were being called Scolopendra longites for a little while. In my opinion, they're an alternans just like the Haitian giant and the Hispaniola red giant, but I won't get too deep into what these are. So for Scolopendra alternans, you're going to want a pretty straightforward setup. They come out of coastal forests, so that's exactly what we're going to give it. Now again, since it's small, we've done really small air holes, but plenty of them. We want a lot of that side draft ventilation. And then for our base layer, we're going to have a peat sand mixture. This is 20% sand. The rest is going to be peat. This allows for burrowing, which is really nice. It can be packed down. It's not going to be super deep for this centipede because they dwell a lot underneath wood and in leaf litter. Now, part of it I'm going to be doing in sand. This is more for enrichment for the centipede. This is not going to be wet or packed down or anything. It's not really going to be able to burrow too much in that. Now, as far as debris goes today, we're going to want, of course, the obvious, which is going to be bark, lots of that, and then we're going to have our leaf litter, lots and lots of that, and then a couple rocks here. Now these parts are going to be ending up in the aesthetics area, but I'll go over that here in a second and why I want to do that. So let's get right to this video and start putting our enclosure together. Now, as I mentioned before, these guys spend a lot of time in leaf litter. So, as we have here in our temporary enclosure, lots of leaf litter and sticks, that's exactly what we're going to be adding to our permanent enclosure. So, the first step on the enclosure is getting our tub ready. So, if you don't have your holes already put in your enclosure, start to put your air holes on the side, like this. Now, you're going to want a decent amount. They don't have to be perfect or beautiful, but you certainly want a lot of them. For peedlings, you really want high ventilation. I can't stress that enough. So, as you can see, I got a lot of holes here. Now, you want it on the sides because air is going to be likely to flow through. Not so much down. There's no ventilation. Now, if you had air holes on the top and the sides, that'll be okay, but not just on the top. I used to use jars a lot. I've kind of moved away from that with certain centipedes because it doesn't allow a lot of flow downward. There is ventilation, but not as great as I would like for some species, so these days I like to just go with the side draft ventilation. That's a bit of updated care. So anyway, let's go ahead and start putting this together. Let's check it out and see what it looks like with the peat in it. Now we have our peat in. So obviously, I've put it to one side as I was saying before, and it is mixed with sand, so I've packed it down. That's really important. You want to allow for some burrowing, even though the species isn't a huge burrow. It does burrow just like any other centipede. So now we're going to want to put our sand layer in. So let's check that out. There's our sand. So the reason I'm adding variance in terrain basically is to give it some sort of enrichment, as I mentioned before. This isn't necessary. This is something that I'm doing because I want the animal to live a very full life. Now in the wild, it's probably going to be, as mentioned, in a coastal forest, so it will go upon the beach every now and then. Now, the reason why I've added so much beach area is because this is a small centipede right now, so it only needs about this much room to thrive in its forest area, and then it gets all that area to exercise. So now we're going to start adding stuff in. I want to start with the rocks right in the sandy area here. So now that we got the rocks in here, I can explain why I'm doing this. So the variation in terrain is going to give it a different kind of a place to roam. It's going to make it feel like it's actually out in the wild versus, just a simple little cup. with some soil in it or something, like a lot of people keep their centipedes. You should never do that. I don't care how small it is. You gotta make it, a somewhat naturalistic enclosure, in my opinion, for it to thrive. Anyways, we're gonna keep moving on this video here. So I'll go ahead and add the leaf litter now. Now, and last but not least, we're going to need to put that wood pile in right here on the edge. I'll probably disperse it a little bit, but that's where it's going to set. So let's see what it looks like all set up. Alright, and there we have it. Fully set up enclosure for Scolopendra alternans. All we're missing is the centipede now. Now, as I said before, they like a lot of leaf litter, so I got a pretty significantly deep layer of leaf litter. The bottom peat layer and sand mixture is only about 1 inch deep, and the sand here is the same, about 1 inch deep, but this doesn't really matter because it can't really burrow in this. It doesn't hold a burrow. And I put these rocks all the way to the bottom and then the sand around them, so there's no chance of it trying to burrow underneath and then it falling on them. Now, I have springtails in here and other cleaner animals. There's also going to be a healthy silverfish population in here. This is just cohabitation. You don't need to do this. I do it with my enclosures. So, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and put it in here, and then we'll do the rest of the video. Now here's the best part of the video, getting the little one and seeing how it likes its new enclosure. Now today it had papaya, it had a nymph roach, and it also had some chicken. So it ate very well. I'm going to be keeping this guy pretty warm. We're going to keep it somewhere in the 85 to 90 degree range in the ambient temperature in the room. Of course, it'll be a little bit cooler, in the substrate. But yeah, now when you spray it down, I only humidify this side, so I spray this side, I do not spray that side. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It looks like it's already finding itself a safe place to hide. It's going through the wood there. So yeah, again, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Like, subscribe, share this anywhere you can, and we'll see you next time here at Mike's House of 1,000 Legs.